Good morning and welcome to Mental Health and Motivational Mondays. I am your small dose motivator, Tam Talk, here to bring you a small dose of motivation to get your week started. So on today's episode, we're going to do something a little different. Okay, so I've been up all morning. When I mean all morning, I mean since 2 a.m. listening to a book. And the title of that book is called Killing Comparison by Nona Jones. Again, it is called Killing Comparison by Nona Jones. How did I stumble upon this book? I remember her name from the headline. She was one of the speakers or keynote speakers for a conference here in Dallas, Texas. And so I just happened to stumble on Instagram, at 2 a.m. in the morning, and a reel came up. One of her reels came up. So, of course, I went down the rabbit hole to see what's going on in her life. I'm lurking. Long story short, I saw that she had written a new book, so I went on Audible and I purchased it and have been listening to it ever since I purchased it. And I'm not even done yet. I actually had to force myself to pause the book to come on and record this episode. But again, it's called Killing Comparison by Nona Jones. What I love about it is, one, it's faith-based. Two, it speaks to everything, I would say, to my thought process as it relates to comparison, success. And then again, faith is faith-based. And so the way that she wrote the book and the way that she narrated her book, she spoke so eloquently, and when I say eloquently, as in she was able to put into words my concerns, my issues that I have been experiencing, and really tear down those barriers for myself personally. And it's like, oh my God. And so I'm still anticipating on, I'm going to finish this book today. So anyway, which brings me to, I guess the topic of today is about comparison. So for those of you who follow me on the social medias, I've actually deactivated all of my social media accounts so that I can really get into, the inner works of myself as it relates to, one, definitely mental health, and then just really getting to the root of some of the issues or some of the things that I need to resolve so that I can be a better motivator for you all when I come on this podcast. And so I actually attended an event also this past weekend, and it was a book event. And at the event, one of the, I'm going to say, moderators is a mental health therapist. And we played this game. And so it was titled, How is Your Mental Health? And we had to describe our mental health with the five senses, like sight, taste, smell, touch, and I can't remember what the other one, I'm going to say feel. But so we describe our mental health by different things that are associated with those different senses. And so it got me to thinking, like, okay, this is really, really good. This is a really good thing. So I was like, okay, I'm on the right track, of focusing on my mental health. And then it's like, again, now we're at the book. It's really helping me tear down these barriers, or getting to the root of what I need to be working on, what I need to focus on. And so, guys, I can't rave enough about this book. You need to get the book. But long story short, it talked about a lot of things, how, with success and with, achievements and what we do, the reasons why we do what we do. Why do we have certain thought processes? I would say, for me, as it relates to achievement, right? So for those of you who don't follow me on social media, you are unaware of my big announcement this past week, which was me deciding to resolve or close or retire my business in the medical coding profession. And so I decided to do that because, again, I'm on E. And so, and it has to do a lot, again, with rejection and comparison and all the other things, perhaps things people have said, perhaps being passed over for certain things. Perhaps it was a thing of not feeling adequate enough to do coding or to, to perform in that particular space. And the keyword that was mentioned by Nona Jones is performance, performing. So it's like, what I thought was ambition was actually a bit, I would say ambition for attention. It was like performing activities. I would do different things, or I would expand or evolve different things within my business, thinking it was a blessing from God, and it may very well be a blessing from God. And because someone actually told me at a church that they spoke the prophetic word over me that I was an entrepreneur, that I was a big business powerhouse. And not only did that one person speak that to me, I went to another church, and it was also spoken to me by someone, the pastor at the other church, that was also a business powerhouse. And so, although initially that's not what I was pursuing or wanted to do, it just seemed like business stuff came natural to me. And so, of course, when they saying that I'm a powerhouse, I'm looking for success. I'm looking for all the other things that came along with that. But, and I, in hopes that other people would see that as well. Again, I was looking for the external accolades, the external applauses, the external what have you. Again, because I was comparing my achievements to or the accolades that I saw other individuals were receiving who did much less, or I would say that was far less than what I was doing. And so it was like, okay, so I'm mimicking, I'm studying that person. So now I need to go and I need to pursue or do the things that they did, so that, again, I can receive that same type of accolades or applause from that they are receiving. And so, y'all, I'm sitting here like, why am I on here trying to talk about mental health and motivation? Anyway, but yeah, so it was a form of comparison. It was a form of performing. I was doing things to try to receive the accolades or the applause that I saw other people were receiving. And it also spoke on, had me actually go back to look at what was being spoken over my life, what was being said to me that made me feel rejected. What experiences did I have that made me feel rejected? And so I thought about divorce. Yes, I felt divorced, that I wasn't loved, right? So that played a part in my rejection. And I noticed in my career path and different roles where others were promoted or acknowledged for their work, although I worked on the project with certain individuals, only those certain individuals received the accolades and the applause, and I did not get acknowledged for my contribution to whatever that project or that goal was. And so it did something to me. And then again, even in as an entrepreneur, people who were close to me, who knew what I did for, what my business was about. I actually sat in close proximity to someone where an individual actually was interested, had interest of the services that I actually offer, although they didn't know I offered it. They asked their friend if they knew of anyone who provided that type of service, and my friend knew I provided that type of service, but my friend recommended someone else. And I was sitting next to my friend when she did that. So that was like a sucker punch in my gut. A sucker punch in my gut. And it was like, wow. And I honestly, to be honest with you, was kind of tired of feeling those sucker punches. Like, okay, I would do all this work. I was helping others. I was doing all of this. I was great at what I did. And it was like, but when it came time for, uh, other people to speak on my behalf, or they would, you know, go elsewhere, or they would recommend someone else. And so it made me question, okay, so what is wrong with me? What is wrong with my business? Like, my business is legit, right? My business is legit. I'm following all the protocol. I'm following all the rules and regulations as it relates to entrepreneurship, as it relates to setting up a business. But people were recommending people or referring people for illegal businesses, right? For legal, anyway, I won't speak on that because that's not my issue. My issue was the rejection part of it. So, when I really got still, and again, all of those things that occurred in this particular industry or in my career path, I realized that one, my business was set up on accolades. It was set up on, I thought I was helping people, because I was actually, before it became business, I genuinely was helping people. But when I made it, like, when I birthed it, I felt like, you know, I lost traction, or all those rejections came back to me like, wow, you're not good enough. You know, you don't know as much as you think you know. Maybe you need to know more. And so I struggle with the fact that, okay, I got to continuously learning this craft in order to, you know, stay one step above my competition. Or, you know, I know it was just a lot of things that came to that. But like I said, that was a sucker punch to me. So it's like, okay, I need to shut this down. And again, because I felt like I realized I was chasing what the prophetic word that had been spoken over me twice. And then it's like, oh, maybe they were wrong. You know, if God told them, maybe I misinterpreted it incorrectly, because one, I didn't want to do this in the beginning, and when I did choose to do it, then this is what happened. You know, I'm getting rejected. And the people who were close, and it wasn't so much like strangers rejecting me, because, I mean, that's business, but it was the rejection of people who were closest to me that hurt the most. The people who knew of my skill set, the people who knew of my talents, the people who knew that I had something really great to offer, the people who knew of the success that came with it, because, you know, it was all about success. Not my success, but my ability to allow people to see success in their career path, their career path. And so the hurt, I couldn't get past the hurt. And so then it's like, okay, this is the time I need to shut this down, because I really need to work on myself, my mental health, and in order to come back and to come correct. Long story short, to come correct. And so again, get the book. I'm telling you, get the book. Again, Killing Comparison by Nona Jones. And a lot of times I know I have come on this podcast and say how it is social media. And she also stated that this was before social media. Your comparison started before social media. Social media is not the root of your comparison issues. It was something else that long before, and we need to figure out what those things are. The only difference is social media probably heightens it, or social media is I would say, what's the word that she uses? I'm going to say social media heightens it. and brings it to the forefront, right? Because we're not only comparing ourselves to whatever we were comparing ourselves to before social media, but we are comparing ourselves to what we're actually seeing on social media. And she mentioned something that I really love, and I don't want to tell the book because I really need y'all to get this book, about we compare ourselves, like there may be something like our friends may be achieving or doing well in a certain area, right? An area that we probably wouldn't even thinking about, but because our friends are achieving in that area and they're getting the recognition, the accolades and applause for that, then all of a sudden we start questioning us. Like, how come I wasn't included? How come I wasn't invited? How come I wasn't? How's it, like, what, I'm close to this person. Now, like, then you go down the rabbit hole. Like, how come, what was it about this person that made that person pick that person, and not me? And so, yeah, so it just speaks on a lot of things, and it's doing a lot of peeling back, and yeah, and so I'm trying to help y'all. I'm telling you, I'm trying to help y'all because this is helping me. And this is what they call the hard work. Sometimes you have to do the hard work, right? Yeah, you have to do the hard work. You have to pull the layers back. And do the work on yourself before you can help others. And so I'm not being paid. This is not a marketing strategy. I'm telling you, this is a really good book. And like I said, I have been up all morning listening to this book. It is entitled Killing Comparison by Nona Jones. Again, I love it because it is faith-based. I love it because how she eloquently broke, the subject matter down. And when I say broke, how she shared some of her experiences, and then the highs as well as the lows of her experiences, and how, I guess for me, I can relate to those, her highs as well as her lows. And so, well, not all of her lows, but I can understand the highs, the peaks and the valleys of the comparison game. And so, yeah, so y'all, I'm saying get this book. Again, it is called Killing Comparison by Nona Jones, and I am actually listening to it on Audible. And as I mentioned, I actually had to shut down a lot of things like my social media, even retire my business, so that I can get myself together mentally, or get to the root issue and come back. I would say come back bigger or better, I may not come back into business, but I'll be a better person, overall person, once I do the work and stick to doing the work. So yeah, so that's all that I have for this week. Again, kill comparison, do the work. And I will leave the title as well as the author's name in I would say the description box, although we're not on YouTube, but I will leave that for you all to get it and take a good listen or take a read and do the inner works so that you can have improved and better mental health. And for those of you who don't know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So this is a great opportunity for you to get that book and start doing the work for better mental health. So until next time, as I always say, don't worry, be grateful, be happy, be joyful, and be blessed. Until next time, toodles.